Greetings and welcome to Prepare to Fast Forward, our chance to leave the past behind and discuss modern day pop culture. I am your host Jason, and joining me this time is Rich.
Hello.
And Christopher.
Hello.
Guys, you're in for a treat with this one as we are talking about Hundreds of Beavers. Yeah, a film that arrives in the UK and Irish cinemas on the 9th of July 2024, and we are going to tell you whether it's worthy of your time or not. Before we do that, and with this film being shot totally in black and white, I wanted to know from you two, what is one of your favourite films that has been shot in black and white?
I've seen many films shot in black and white, and one that always sticks with me isn't one of the obvious, like It's a Wonderful Life, which is one of my mother's favourite movies. Every Christmas, I really like black and white comedy movies. You got your classic, you got your Buster Keaton and your Charlie Chaplins, right? But if anyone has access to it in any way, even if you buy it digitally on Amazon, Arsenic and Old Lace.
I've not heard of that, I'm not going to lie.
It's a Cary Grant movie.
Ah, okay.
And the physical comedy from Cary Grant is absolutely phenomenal. Now, I remember being introduced to this again by my mother. It was one Sunday afternoon that you always find these on. I said to her, what are you watching? And she went, it's a black and white movie. I was watching it and I thought to myself, this is a comedy. It's like some real classic, like vaudevillian sort of performances and very like slapstick, where the spoilers for probably a nearly, a 90-year-old movie at this point, probably. There's these two old ladies who are killing their man friends because they think they need help to move on or to live at peace, or I can't remember the exact reasons, but Cary Grant is the innocent one and has no idea what's going on until about halfway or three-quarters of the way through the film, where he opens a window box underneath the window and there's a dead body in there. And if anyone's seen Fawlty Towers, where the guest dies and Manuel and Basil have to take the guest out of the hotel without being seen, it's very similar to that. And it's just fun. And I haven't watched it probably for about as long as 30 years maybe or more. No, probably about 25 years, I reckon. And it just sticks in my head as the film that I always remember, black and white. Watch Cary Grant's performances. He does a whole thing with no words whatsoever. And he's got that lovely sort of like delicate energy about him when he discovers his body in this window box. And it's that kind of like gasp, and he kind of almost breaks the fourth wall and he's kind of like looks in there, shuts it, delicately sits on the window box and then just lets out this silent like gasp, like, what have I just seen? And it's just like a madcap thing about him trying to work out what's going on. And it's actually a lovely film, but it's also a bit mad and twisted at the same time.
I mean, for me, it's only going to be one, really. As the George A. Romero loving freak, it's going to be the original Night of the Living Dead, which was a pivotal film in terms of like the horror genre, never mind the zombie genre. Like, it was the first real like graphic horror film, released in 1967, I think it was. And just, what it brought to the genre. It wasn't just your classic, horror film with a lot of things that kind of insinuated and suggested off camera. It was actually showing you intestines and just all manner of horrible stuff. And also thematically, how it dealt with themes like the civil rights movement. And, it just was a film that I feel like a lot of Romero stuff was very ahead of its time. And yeah, I must say, growing up, you're kind of in that kid mentality, like, oh, black and white, I don't want to watch that.
Mm-hmm.
But that was a film I always made the exception for. And obviously, since then, we're much more mature. I'm not dismissive of black and white films like you were when you were younger, of, that's sad and old.
That's something my mum and dad would watch.
Yeah. Exactly. So, no, it's a classic. It's an absolute classic.
Yeah, no, great shout, Rich. Yeah, love it. And if anyone's listening who hasn't catch those films, then maybe you should go out and do so. My shout would be Clerks, because...
Okay.
I have only seen clips of that. I don't think I've seen the whole movie. I really don't think I have.
Well, maybe you should go now. Just leave the recording, Chris. Just go and watch it. please, because that's just sacrilegious,
No,
unbelievable.
that's just-
But yeah, Clerks. I don't really need to say much about Clerks. Everyone knows Clerks is a quality classic movie from the 90s. Jay and Silent Bob. What more do I need to say? So there you go. There's our 3 top picks for black and white films. Go out and seek them out and watch them. But yeah, if you guys haven't got anything else left to say and you're all sitting very comfortably, then let's prepare to fast forward. In this 19th century supernatural winter epic, a drunken Applejack salesman must go from zero to hero and become North America's greatest fur trapper by defeating hundreds of beavers and winning the love of the merchant's daughter. And yes, that is the actual plot of the film. I didn't make that up. That's the actual plot of the film. And I remember sitting down and getting the email from the PR company, thanks to Strike Media, for the advance copy, letting us see this before it hits the cinema. After watching the trailer, I just had to take a moment and kind of just rub my eyes and go, what have I just seen? Because I think, this is a very unusual film, and I'm very intrigued to hear your guys' thoughts on this film, because I don't know where you two are going to go, like on whether you actually hated it or loved it. I don't actually have an idea.
That's really nice to have that in this day and age, where we're just so like what you think the response is going to be is so baked in. Like, yeah, it's a franchise film. This person's definitely going to love it. This is such an unknown quantity, completely different to anything. Like, so
hundreds of beavers. It's very hard to imagine coming from us. And I probably just played the trailer for you, and even the trailer's not very audio friendly. It's just a lot of noises and music, I believe. So you're not really going to get the best picture or idea of what the film's about. Like I said in the intro, it's completely shot in black and white, and it's kind of a slapstick kind of comedy film. But it's just like to me, it feels like they've aimed to kind of make a live action Looney Tunes film.
Yeah, definitely.
And when majority of the animals you see in this film are either like puppets or, practical models of a bird, or in the case of like beavers and wolves and rabbits, they're actually people.
It's not even like hiding it. They're just like,
no, they're not hiding it.
And it's just...
No, they're actual people standing up on their feet in their beaver outfits or rabbit outfits. It's as clear as day that these are just people in a costume.
And the best part of that is when they try to steady their heads.
Yeah.
So you're lifting our heads.
Well, yeah, and there's a few shots where you see the person's arm, because the sleeve has rode up of the costume has rode up their arm, so you can see their human skin underneath to where their glove is. They're not scared of hiding that. But I kind of think that adds to the beauty a little bit, that they're not scared of like that happening.
Yeah. What has it got to hide? It's not about suspending it. It's not about, asking you to suspend disbelief. It literally is so absurd that it just nothing matters. It's just, this is mad. it doesn't make sense. This is not anything you've watched before. You're willing to let it go. No one's going to be like, oh, I can't believe that, that was a production error. It's like, no, not this kind of film. Not this kind of film.
I mean, Rich, what were your initial thoughts?
I mean, yeah, from the trailer, I was very taken by it. And obviously I got quite... I love the visuals. I'm a massive, old Looney Tunes fan. Probably for me, my favorite will always be Roadrunner and Wile E. Coyote. And it had the element to it where it was just kind of sketches of, our protagonist or antagonist in a way with, Wile E. Coyote trying to catch, their nemesis, and was just fail after fail after fail, seeing the end results. It had that kind of formula to it, and that's just what I took away from a trailer. So I was very sold, very sold. And you get all the plaudits and all, the reviews in the trailer, like the, what do you call it?
Like the festival
awards,
isn't it?
Ears of wheat shit, just
Yeah.
just telling you this is like a comedy for the ages and like this. I was like, okay, you get my attention. So yeah, that was my takeaway from the trailer. And when I watched the film, I mean, I don't know how deep into the weeds are we going to get here with what I thought of the film, because obviously that was my initial impression. And starting early on, the first 20 minutes of the film, I was like, okay, yep, I'm kind of feeling this. I like it. I love the sound design. The score is beautiful. Like, it really taps into that old classic, like, silent comedy, vibe. It feels kind of authentic in a way that's completely absurd. The difference between what I thought of the trailer and what I thought of the finished product might differ a bit. Again, I don't know how deep into the weeds I'm getting with this yet in terms of reviewing it. So,
well, we don't really. I think we have to try and keep the spoilers to a minimum, unless we want to just talk half this podcast without any spoilers, and then the last 10, 15 minutes we could just go and give a spoiler warning, and then we can go into
this film in terms of a production is just magnificent. I cannot praise it enough. Like, it looks stunning in a completely unique way. It sounds wonderful. There's some great little sound design in it. Like, there's a bit when you see our character all 2D on a little bird's eye map when he's I won't spoil it, but you see the little sounds. It almost sounds like video game-esque in a way. Little bleeps and bloops and little chimes when he's moving from A to B and then back again. And I was like, okay, I really like what they've done here. To me, it's production-wise, it's an absolute massive achievement. But for me, I feel like it doesn't really hold you for the full running time of the film. And for me personally, I feel like this probably would have been better as a short. Maybe even if it was 30, 35 minutes. But it is pushing nearly 2 hours. And it was really difficult because, like I said, I really just adored this from a production point, but I can't pretend I was entertained after a certain point.
I'd probably agree with that. When I fired up the film and I saw it was an hour and 47, I was like, really?
Yeah.
I didn't expect this kind of film to be that long, and I think that they could have got on away with making this an hour and 20 at a push.
Yeah.
I think there was too much. There was the middle section of the film didn't hold my interest either. I did get a little bit bored, and it was only when the ending started to come in that I was more engrossed again in it. But that kind of little middle-ish section, I kind of was probably getting a little bit bored of just seeing the same kind of thing of him trying and failing.
It's a film that relies so heavily on visual gags, and visual gags work because they're either a small part of a bigger thing and they're nicely spaced out, or they're part of something that's much, 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 much shorter. And when you're just kind of doing it one after the other, after the other, after the other, after the other, and there's no real let up or real variation, you just kind of... I checked out quickly, and maybe I'm going to be... I don't know, I feel like this film... it's not right for me to kind of tell people they're wrong for liking it or loving it, but I feel like seeing how much people are kind of losing their shit about it. And I feel like I don't know how much of it is a product of, because it's so completely mad and different, it feels like it's kind of cool to be seen as saying, oh yeah, you gotta watch that, it's amazing. And it's like, I don't know, I feel it's almost like, do you really think that? Are you really that entertained by it? Because I don't know, I just was really struggling. As I said, I feel horrible because in a way it was such an achievement, and I can't praise them enough for the technical level. But yeah, for me, the film, yeah, I've seen far worse. But then at the same time, how do I compare this to anything else, better or worse? It's its own thing completely. But yeah, that was my initial takeaway. And there's lots of little things I did like about it. But yeah, so I'm going to hand it on to Chris now.
I'm going to echo your thoughts pretty much the same. It could have been, as Rich said, a short 30, 45 minutes easily. But was it 1 hour 47? When, again, like you, when I got it ready, and I was just like, wait, this is a silent comedy doing visual gags for an hour, nearly 2 hours. Yes, like you guys have said, it's a masterpiece of special effect, modern effects being used to replicate films made in the 20s, including overexposed effect shots and black lines around mats and stuff like that. Silly stuff like that. But it was just a wee bit too long. And like Rich said, the gags were repeated 3 times in succession until he got the third one lucky. That happened about 6 times in this film. The same gag or the same method being tried 3 times until he finally succeeded. And Rich quite eloquently put, it's very much like Roadrunner and Coyote. It's, you try one antic and it doesn't work, you try a new one, rather than the same one 3 times. And it was, a lot longer than I was expecting for a silent visual comedy movie. When you sent us the trailer, I, like you guys, sat there and I was like, oh, what is this? I need more of this stuff. This is right up my street. This is mad. This doesn't make any sense. Oh my god, they're using mascot outfits. What the hell? Like, that's how I felt. And then you fire it up and it got really slow at a few points where the other night I was like, come on. And then it's just lagged. But it's very, very creative. Like, very, very cleverly done. It could have, again, it's just, I think there's nothing wrong with the film. It's just, as a concept, a fur trapper hunting beavers and he needs more than 300 or so to claim the right to marry his daughter doesn't need 1 hour 47 minutes of film time.
No.
It really doesn't. And some of it's quite bloated with like the awkward like moments of screaming into nothingness. Almost taking a leaf out of the Family Guy book of gags where we're going to hold on to this reaction shot just a little bit too long.
Yeah.
It was funny for the first one and the second one, but it kept happening. I'm like, oh.
Yeah.
But again, it's the mad production values on this film. I can understand why it warranted like Rich said, the reviews that you see on the front of a DVD cover or plastered all over the poster in a magazine, in a newspaper. But I'd say it could be a masterpiece just in visuals, but as a whole, I'm on the fence because I've only watched it once and it was late at night at that point as well. And I was just like you guys said, if it was half an hour, 45 minutes, no problem at all. It was decent enough though, but like Rich said, even the music. The music was reminiscent of literally every decade of music cues and keys and themes that we've heard in movies for the past 60 years. They were all in this film at some point, those familiar sounds. I don't know, it's very weird to put it into words. Like,
this is a masterclass in terms of the production, but it kind of gets in the way of itself just by excess. And yeah, this is not about, I'm going to slag it off and say it's shit.
No.
I like wanted to be a fan of it, but its premise, its execution, and its runtime just aren't compatible.
No.
Yeah.
I have a certain scene in my head that I know that they could have probably cut or made a lot shorter to ease that running time, and I think there's probably a couple of other sections in the film that weren't necessary really or needed. And on that side of things, yeah, definitely the runtime is definitely too long for this kind of film. But I mean, I liked the film. I thought it was great. I mean, it never made me belly laugh or anything. I mean, it made me laugh out loud-ish a couple of times, and there was, lots of smirks and little laughs from some of the gags that they pulled in throughout the film. It never made me cry, laugh or anything, but.
I mean, probably the most I laugh at it is a bit, especially in the trailer, so it's not spoiling it, but it's like when he just basically... Also, I view this through the lens of like a wrestling fan when there's like the two beavers carrying the log, and he just like runs and just like spears one, and the log drops on his head, and then the other beavers just start kicking him in, like outside of Weatherspoons, to just kicking the shit out of him. And I was like, yeah, this is good. As I said, saw it in the trailer, but still got a reaction from me when I watched the actual finished product. I was like, this is pretty good. And I loved... And again, I think this was kind of shown in the trailer, but I kind of love the way they depict the beavers building dams, and it's actually like industrial. You've got the guy in high vis, and he's got they're just bringing in supplies, and they're just like doing like this massive building project, and it's just.
I'm glad you brought it up because they. I wish they'd cut a lot of the stuff out in the trade shack, where he goes to try and. Cut some of that out and the interactions between them. Start with that, and this is your demand. Just say once, you need hundreds of beavers to win my daughter's heart.
Yeah.
And then you run with that, and it will cut like 20 minutes out of the film. Because there's a point in one of those scenes where they're like, it's like nearly 12 minutes of the film where he's just wooing her outside, and I just get on with it. And like we said, the way they successfully ape all the tropes of movies, such as, again, they've got James Bond in there. They've got all these megalomaniac scenes that they've lampooned about building a massive secret base, complete with like their own like monorail and guard systems. And I'm not spoiling anything. These scenes are in the trailer, and oh my god, it was just glorious, like ridiculous actually, because it just kept getting more bizarre.
I picked up on something you said a minute ago, Chris, like on how creative they were with the film, but not just in the way that the film was shot and the production values, but in the way of like trying to trap the beavers and trying to catch the rabbits and everything else. I must give them some credit on some of the ideas that they came up with on how he was going to trap and kill these creatures. So yeah, I would definitely give them kudos for that. But something that's just come into my brain actually was like where we'd be mentioning the runtime and everything. Wasn't it like 45, 50 minutes in when the actual title card came up?
I love that structure. That was
cool.
Brilliant.
That was cool.
They're leaving you hanging, and you're like, "Have we seen it? No, we haven't." Oh no, there it is.
That was good. I did get a bit of a chuckle out of that.
It's like 20 minutes goes by and it says present so and so starring in, and then it just another 2 or 3 scenes.
It's just that slapstick Looney Tunes kind of comedy, like at the beginning of the film, you see where he's trying to catch the rabbits, and like he keeps falling through holes, and then he realizes that these holes are how the rabbits are getting around underground. So then he picks up big boulders and blocks the holes apart from one, and then he's just trying to ensnare them from this one that they can get off and failing miserably. And it is literally just stuff that you would see in a cartoon. And like, where the beavers have eaten the tree, they're really like sharp points, like a pencil kind of stump tree, and all this kind of stuff. But actually, what did you guys think at the beginning of the film? Because I didn't expect the film to start in the way that it did, with the whole like cider farm song thing.
You actually kind of get like a bit of a backstory, kind of an actual, you actually get his like origin story in a way, what led for him to become this like fur trapper, because he's just, I liked it. I'm glad it gave you a bit of exposition. It was told in a really interesting way, and again, without dialogue. It's done. It stayed true to its its execution. It didn't like try and give you some like text on the screen, and like it was done really, really well. I really liked it. That was good. It had my intrigue, and it set it up quite nicely. So.
Sun on the trail, there's a righteous tale From a small man with mountains of pride, he cleaned the dark secrets of Applejack, but drinks to go and far and wide. He'd argue each match near his little house, he'd be thirsty and wandering night. Not men from their camps with their pay in hand, and a song in their hearts by a John. The Acme's again Applejack, the legend is one third half true. That color is gold, and when a hot feeling cold, I'll be again true. That Applejack
I guess it's here that we would kind of talk about the cast of the film, and like the last review we did for the present, it was an easy thing to talk about, really. But is it quite a difficult thing to talk about in this film, with the cast and the way that they acted these characters? I don't know. Like,
There's only technically 3 cast members.
yeah. I mean, I've got
And the stunt performers in the suits, which I want to give an award to whoever those stunt performers were, because they kind of took the tricky happy TV kind of pranks where they dress up as squirrels and nick people eating picnics from the picnic benches, and they kind of take that as an idea and turn it into a film successfully. And some of these stunt performers, the one that gets hit by the sack of grain,
Yeah.
is it a sack of grain or I can't remember what it was, and literally just got, like Rich said about wrestling, it just hits him square in the face. He flies backwards over this bench.
I definitely feel like, and one thing I appreciate it, I definitely feel like, to a degree, as much as it was like very, and I don't say it's in a bad way, I'm just saying it was a heavily overproduced film visually, but I feel like there definitely were elements of some of those stunts and those like gags it was almost kind of jackass filmmaking, where they were just like, they went for it, and some of these guys in the suits were like, yeah, just, fucking, go all in, like knock me on my ass, wind me. They definitely did like stunts. They did proper physical gags where they were happy to like just get wrecked, basically. It's easy to think it was all safe because it was done with so much like kind of green screen and like cutouts and little visual flares, but no, you could tell people were just like, yeah, we're doing stunts and we're actually gonna just get messed up.
What did you actually, before we get to the cast, like, you just remind me of something else. Like, I mean, there were moments in this film where they seemed to use CGI, but they did it in a way that made it look quite ropey.
Try to remember now what standout bits were with the CG.
It's like the snowballs and stuff like that.
Oh yeah,
And
yeah.
the big snow carrot, and I think most of the scenery was CG as well.
Yeah.
And again, I think it was just sending up and homaging those early movies where it would be like they're matted onto a matte painting on glass. That kind of moment, I think, was really well done, and they're deliberately replicating the flaws in old filmmaking in modern day filmmaking, which you don't see very often anymore.
That is true.
I suppose. Like, I wasn't sure how to take that ropiness from the graphics, I guess, but well, I guess when you're looking at it in that sense, they are trying to create this silent movie from the 1920s that's based in the 19th century, and trying to use all the tropes that you would probably get to see in that. So I suppose like snazzy, up-to-date CGI in this film would just not make sense at all, would it?
No, you've got to keep it primitive. It must kind of give a bit of a South Park feel, early South Park.
Yeah.
Yeah, fair enough.
I mean, the gophers in Indiana Jones 4 were less convincing than men in beaver suits.
Well, let's have a quick chat about the cast, and then we'll jump into the spoiler bit, and then we can really let rip on the film. Ryland Brixton Cole Tews.
It's a name.
It is a name. I will give him that.
It's 4.
He played. Is it Jean Kayak? Kayak, Kayak.
Yeah.
Kayak for the listeners. That's the surname. Jean Kayak. He's the main protagonist of the film. He is the fur. He is the fur man. How do you think he did? I mean, personally, I thought that he was great. I loved him. I thought his facial expressions were great. Loved him.
I mean, you're kidding yourself if you're not going to think that this guy didn't, carry this film on his back, because he did. It was very much his journey as a character. He carried so much of the gags, other than like the furrier and the the fur trader, the father and the daughter. Really, obviously you had like the native as well, didn't you? But really, that was his film, definitely. And I thought he was fantastic. Yeah, for all the complaints about runtime and if you feel like it kind of just wasn't something that justified that kind of length, I thought he was great throughout. Whether I felt like the film could the film was worth its runtime, like he was fantastic. Like his facial expressions, everything about him, his body, the way he actually moved, like you could tell there's some real like almost choreography there. Who's moving almost like a Looney Tunes character. But he had that kind of accentuated kind of silent film acting as well, where he really used his body, because you can't use words. And I thought he was so expressive, and he was fantastic. So couldn't think of someone better for this kind of incredibly unique role.
I guess it is kind of like a masterclass on that kind of front, of being able to portray this story from him mostly, because he's in, like, a lot of the time it is just him in this film. I'd say like 95% of the film is just him. And so it's, I mean, this man, I don't know, like, I don't know, like, is he some kind of like master actor that needs to be in more better films or something, because he did like just carry this film through, and like he didn't really put a foot wrong.
No, I tried to find behind the scenes videos and interviews, and I couldn't find much at all with him or the creators or directors. I've got a feeling that this is a project that stemmed from a short movie that they did as students, potentially.
Yeah.
And some guy in a movie studio was like, what? Hang on a minute. What's this? We could turn this into something. So I'm pretty not 100% sure, but it strikes me as the original short was probably done by 2 or 3 students as a project at one point, and then it morphed into this big, but not biggish budget production. But I couldn't find anything. I wanted to see, what he sounded like and how he moved in real life, because he didn't go. And what I respected was he didn't go full on Buster Keaton or Charlie Chaplin, which is very fluid.
Yeah.
Even Laurel and Hardy, they're like liquid in suits. They're so accentuated and like just all these fluid kind of moves and rolls and pratfalls. He was very normal, like a normal guy who found himself in a slapstick movie. It was very, very tastefully done, where it wasn't sending up the silent era comedies. It was doing its own thing in a normal guy way. It's very difficult to pinpoint what I'm actually trying to say.
It felt like he wasn't actually doing comedy. It's so easy to do this kind of performance and just feel like he's like mugging for the camera and just kind of becoming annoying. He was incredibly natural.
Yeah, he never annoyed me. He never got on my nerves.
No.
So I guess on that front, you're right.
Yeah, you get a lesser comedy actor. You get someone like a bloody James Franco or something doing it. It'd be like, you're getting my tits now. Please fuck off. But
exactly.
He was such a natural. Like,
I just never thought of it in that sense, and I just never felt that way, actually, thinking about it. And that just made his performance even better.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, the next person I got is Olivia Graves, who played her credit in the film character is called the Furrier. Basically, she is the daughter that he's after her. She fancies him, and they want to get together. And it's the whole kind of thing of the plot, and like he has to go and kill all these beavers to impress the dad, so he will let them get together and everything and get married and stuff. And she was, I don't know, like I say, Ryland was in this film for 95% of the film, and she was probably 1% of it, so for what she was in the film, she did well in my books.
I honestly found her to be my favourite character. Like, I found her, like, it was that kind of less is more thing, but I found every scene she was in, like, again, I felt like she did a really good job, like playing like a silent movie character, and like her facial expressions, like the little like sounds you'd get, and then just her whole thing being that she felt, for him what he did for her, but she was kind of messing with him just to kind of, piss her dad off. Like, again, won't go into spoilers, but there's bits where she's like, insinuating that, he's like coming onto her, coming on too heavy, putting his head under a dress and stuff. And it's like, hey, look, Dad, look. It's like, and then it's just like she's being a massive troll, but she likes him, and that's exactly why she's doing it. I found that quite a nice, like, little character trait, and I really enjoyed all the scenes she was in. Especially one incredibly random scene as well.
Yeah.
Involving
yeah.
a pole. I won't say more than that, but
Yeah, when you read that.
yeah. And yeah, she's cool. I mean, she's the kind of person I'm like, okay, I want to see what else she's in, because she actually really had a nice presence, just like him. And I just thought, okay, there's some actors and actresses here where I'm like, I want to see what they've done. And I know they've probably done small, modest roles, but now I'm like, okay, they've proven they've got chops in a very unique film. And yeah, okay, I'm interested. It's always exciting when you get like actors like this where it's like they're completely off the radar. And even though she didn't have a lot to do, what she did counted. It left, a really good impression. And yeah, she was kind of my favourite.
Again, it's a case of like it wasn't overdone. It was the makeup was great as well, because like Rich said, she looked like that age-old starlet that you'd see. That's the top of their game, and they're in every other movie that Hollywood produces and these big studios. And then the physical comedy wasn't overdone, and like again, like Rich said, us three are very much on the same page with this movie, which is very rare at this point. Where again, she's just as bored and frustrated with having no social life or love life as he is, but he's always out doing jobs to earn money, and then they come across each other, and it's like, oh, it's the whole, I'm just as bored and frustrated as you, let's get together. And then there's always that one person in the way, which is her overprotective father, who probably thinks that everyone that comes past his shop is not worthy of his daughter's love.
Yeah.
The antics and attention seeking and stuff is very, very subtly that, apart from a certain pole. That sounds so that sounds like, really weird, doesn't it? But it's, again, it's not overdone, and it's not played for too many laughs. It's like just enough to keep it going. It's great, absolutely fantastic.
Doug Mancheski, who played the merchant, the dad of the film. I don't know. I didn't really expect a lot from this character when I first saw him. I just thought he was going to be just like a run-of-the-mill kind of filler character. So I was quite surprised that he had more to do with the film that that he does. I quite like some of his facial expressions as well. There's a running gag throughout the film with this character.
Yeah, I did like that. Again, yeah, I won't say too much, but yeah. At first, I thought, you know what, that gag's going to kind of outstay its welcome, but I kind of went for each time.
No.
And they got more creative, and I was like, okay, you're doing some weird shit now, like physics are completely out of whack, and I'm like, okay, yeah, you got me. I thought I was going to be like, yeah, we're doing this again. But no, they did good.
It took you that point to realize the physics in this movie were out of whack slightly.
Yeah, I know.
At the top of the show, it's cartoon physics. This is like, if it looks fun, it's wrong.
Yeah. But I think he had the least to do really in the film in most sense. Really, just had to show he was a bit angry at times, throw a few more different facial expressions, do this little running joke thing, and then that was it, really, wasn't it? So he was fine for what he needed to do, I guess. So, but yeah, again, none of these characters were annoying.
No,
to me,
not at all.
None of them. None of them made me feel like, please just go, get off the screen. I don't need you in this film. Please just go away. I never felt like with any of these characters. They're all very likable characters, and they never feel like they outstay their welcome. So, and Doug plays his character to that point, and it just never felt out welcome. So
no, but he was the side quest shop owner that you see in all these games like Zelda, and you earn your tokens or you get your gems or your sticks to go and trade for something that works a bit better, like arrows or a new bowstring. And like Rich said at the top of the show, it's very video game influenced. There's some DNA going on through this that the map and then go into the shop, and even the way it's displayed, where he's standing there and you've got all these things that are available or not available, or that you can't afford and that are sold that you can't have. It's stuff like that you sit there and you
That
think,
was good.
that's familiar. This is very familiar. And
Yeah.
you think, shit, this is like playing any kind of fantasy game where you have to go to a tradesman and it's not highlighted because you don't have enough coin or gems.
That was pretty inspired. You like gamified a silent movie.
Yeah, even, and again, like Rich said, even the sound of him choosing from the shop was like you just scroll through and on a.
Yeah, I did like that a lot. I'm not gonna lie.
All right, I've got two more of the cast. I think that's pretty much it. After that, I'm scraping the barrel for cast members in the film. with these
You got about 375 beavers as to have to go through, so it's going to be a very long night.
Next on my list is Wes Tank, who played the Father Christmas type,
Oh yeah,
the master fur trapper character. Like he was, he looked like Father Christmas. He moved around on a sleigh. He had dogs that pulled a sleigh, but obviously they were people in a suit, so it looked really weird. But he was like, Jean kind of learned the skills that he took, from this person, which he needed in the last section of the film. I don't know. I don't really know what to say about him. I don't really know what to say about this character.
Yeah, I can't. I'll be honest, I can't really say too much either. He was kind of there. I don't mean it in a negative way, but yeah, he had a very small role in all. He didn't leave a mark like the furrier and the furrier's daughter. Just like yeah, I don't know. That's one I almost kind of forget he was in it.
Yeah, it was
even
like
though he's visual. Yeah, the visual of him was like, oh yeah, he was in this. He was the Father Christmas type guy.
It's
But
the
no.
sacrificial lamb ally character that you get in every movie.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, like I can't say anything about how he acted. I can't really say anything about the way he used his facial expressions or nothing. I only watched this film today. Nothing has stayed in my brain for this particular character, and I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing to say about the actor who played him. I'm just saying that I think that's just a thing about the character in himself. I don't know. Even the next character that I'm going to bring up, I think, was more memorable to me with some of the acting than the Santa Claus, the Master Fur Trapper. Character. But yeah, we'll move on to that character, and that's the Indian that was played by Louis Rico. Yeah, again, I didn't expect to see an Indian in this film, but
No, but, I mean, yeah, it makes sense for the setting. But yeah, I won't lie.
It did make sense. I guess I was just like, oh, that's an Indian. Oh, okay, I didn't expect that. But he had a few moments.
Yeah, no, agreed. But for me, it's still, I mean, yeah, I guess maybe it speaks to the strength of the three, ultimate kind of leads. I kind of forgot about him, much like it did the Master Fur Trapper. Maybe if it was like I watched this film over a week ago now, and he's totally just fallen out of my brain.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah,
Yeah, I think that character was almost the guy who just shakes his head, slaps him around the face, and says, "Do it right this time."
Yeah,
are you using that wrong? You're using that wrong. What are you doing here? Have a toke on this mystical herb I have in my pipe.
That was shaped like an axe.
Yeah, it's like, what the hell?
Yeah. Okay. All right, guys. Well, if we think we're all done, then I just want to hear your kind of verdicts on the film, I guess, and whether you think people should go out their way to see this film. I
would say it's difficult to tell people not to go to cinema because you don't want people to be not disappointed, but again, it's the long running time. I reckon if people go to the cinema, if they don't know what they're going to watch and it's just a random night out, like a date night or something, and you go into this film and you realise that the first half an hour to 40 minutes is ever so slow setting up, and it doesn't actually get going until literally halfway through this film, I would say just watch it at home, buy it on Amazon or wherever else you get your streaming films from. But if you are a big fan of silent comedy films, and especially physically based comedy films, then yes, I would say go and see it, because it's an achievement in physical comedy and modern effects editing. It's just it's a difficult one to crack. Really, like, do you, don't you, yes, no. I'd say 50-50. Go and see it, and also it's fun to see it at home after a few drinks in your own time, where you can process the gags in your own time.
I mean, I think that this film calls just to it's a niche.
Mm.
Like, the general public aren't going to want to see the film, unfortunately, I don't think. Like, when I met, like, the prime example is when I mentioned this film to my wife, and I mentioned the title, and I gave her a brief synopsis of it, and she wouldn't even want to see the trailer. She just thought it sounded absurd, and why would I want to waste an hour and a half of my life watching this film? And so I think in that sense, like, that, and that's a shame in some ways, because what we've talked about, this film, there's a lot going for it, but it does call to a certain niche. So what you're saying there, Chris, I kind of agree, like, it is 50-50, because I think the majority of the general public will probably see the title and probably go, no thanks. Whereas the more hardcore filmer will probably go, yes, I want to experience this film, whether it's good or bad, because it sounds interesting. I've just Googled the trailer, and oh my God, what's going on? These people are in beaver suits, There are a lot of funny gags, and it is really original. I've never seen a film like it. And it's a film that's always going to stay in my head because of a lot of what I saw. And a lot of it works, and they have done such a great job in a lot of the areas of the film. Yeah, I'm just really happy I've seen it. And I'm just really happy because when I'm old and grey, I am still going to be thinking about this film.
That's can't get a better endorsement than that. Damn.
Yeah. It is too long. Definitely, as we all agree, it is definitely too long. It does need some more editing. If it was 20 minutes, half an hour shorter, I know you guys think it needs to be even shorter, but take that 20 minutes away and, you're looking at a really good film. So yeah, please go and see this film. Even if you're just like a general film goer who doesn't, doesn't really want to go away from the safe Hollywood kind of films, just give it a try. You just never know. It might just click with you.
I feel kind of bad in a way that I came into this episode early, just kind of expressing my issues with the runtime and how it kind of felt like it outstayed its welcome, because that really feels like I've kind of like shat on it, but there is a lot to appreciate from this film. I appreciated it before we even sat down and had a chat about it. This is a film where I'm never going to say, oh, I think it's bad, that I didn't like it. And it's not a film I'm not going to recommend to people. I thought it's so interesting and different and just unique that it's not something I'm going to say, yeah, don't waste your time. Like, I think you should absolutely spend an hour and 47 minutes with this film and come away feeling like you loved it, that it wasn't for you. But it is so different, and yeah, you could say it definitely is niche, and I do agree totally. And it's funny at the same time, as much as it kind of leans into older stylings of comedy, be it Looney Tunes, be it the silent movie era, there's something actually quite postmodern and kind of almost a bit Gen Z about this film, like the randomness. You can almost feel like this would be like a series of TikToks. Like it has that kind of appeal, the absurdity of it, the randomness. It feels like it is actually a film that really will resonate, I think, with a lot of younger people. And I don't just mean like, oh yeah, kids that might go with their parents and haha, man in black and white film fell down. It's like, I think this will find an audience with, your late teens, early 20s somethings, not just us that like this kind of weird shit. I think definitely will resonate with that Gen Z audience, because they like that weird stuff. And there's stuff I see now, I'm like, oh, that's weird. I feel old
Yeah.
seeing what like my nephew or
Yes,
my nieces
exactly, yeah.
appreciate. And I think there's something about this that actually kind of blurs that line between, haha, it's like Looney Tunes and stuff we don't get.
Yeah.
And maybe that kind of feeds into the whole, oh yeah, it was too long. Or I don't know, maybe we're just curmudgeons. I don't know. Or at least I'm a curmudgeon. But yeah, I can't in any good faith say to anyone, don't check this out. Whether you go to the theatre, whether you wait for it to come on streaming. Yeah, you need, if you've got even an inkling of interest, please do go see it. If you're not bothered, you're not bothered. And that applies to any film. I'm not going to tell people, you've got to go see this. No, some people might look at that and think, yeah, I don't know, that seems a bit weird. Fine. But I certainly wouldn't tell someone not to waste your time. I think there's something to be said about this film, and if you don't see it, you might miss on something really, really special, or you might think, yeah, that was just far too long. But I would say go see it, definitely. So it's a weird one. I've come into this being like, oh yeah, it's too long. Oh, I don't know. And then I'm like, yeah, you got to go see this. That's the weirdest review I've ever done. Like, I think it just speaks to the film. It's not like I'm being fickle, indecisive. I think it generally, I'm feeling both things about it at the same time. And that's because it's just so bloody different. There's not anything else out there that's going to scratch the itch that this film does.
I think like that we moan about the state of like Hollywood cinema at the moment, the Marvel effect and the kind of films that they're pumping out, and we're crying out for more originality, and it's right here. It's right here. So
yeah,
don't waste the chance.
It's the only Roadrunner, Wile E. Coyote-esque film we're going to get this summer.
Yeah.
Listeners, I hope you've got I hope you've built up an impression, or I hope you've built up an idea of what this film's about, and I hope you go and check it out. We're going to jump into some spoilers for the last 10 minutes of the film. So if you don't want anything majorly spoiled for you, then I guess this is the moment where you leave us. So thank you very much for listening, and hopefully we'll catch you on the next episode. For anybody else that's sticking around for the spoilers, we'll catch you in a minute. Shackles are off, guys. Let's spoil this film. Like, I don't know. Yeah. Yes. Where do you want to start with this? I don't know.
It's honestly, it's a weird one to go into like a conversation about like our favorite like moments and spoilers, because it is such a different film where there's not like real like true like narrative beats and big moments where there's like a shift and like an emotional scene. It does feel like a series of sketches.
It did very much so at the beginning. I'll tell you what I would like to bring up, I guess, in this bit is the fact of where I would cut the film and make it shorter is in that campfire section, like where we see, during the day, he's going around with this master fur trapper. He's learning the trade on how to set these traps and catch these animals. And then at night time, they're on this campfire, but then you see these like eyes appear in the darkness behind them.
So cool.
And like the two guys are sitting around the campfire, not just not moving, they're just sitting still, and then all the dogs are sitting at another table playing poker.
I did lose it. I lost it. I bet.
When you said they should cut this, I was like, no. This scene is gold. There's a lot more they could have cut for time.
Yes, that's what I think I'm saying. I think this needs to be cut in half at least. I don't want to lose the dogs playing the poker scene because I think that's a bit of a homage as well to that painting, isn't it? Like we had all the dogs,
100%.
So and it was funny. I liked it. But But then obviously they went to sleep, and then obviously one of the dogs would go missing. And then it would repeat again. They'd do exactly the same thing, do to the campfire, the eyes would appear, maybe even a few more. They'll go to sleep, and then another dog would get killed. And then they would do it again, and then they would do it again. I was like, yeah, I've got the idea. You know, we could probably have left it after the second dog.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like, I don't know if it was trying to be like, I didn't find it funny, but like, you know, they didn't seem to click that something, you know, like maybe we should not be camping, or maybe we should be doing something else.
Yeah, like you
know?
said, it lingered a bit long. Like you said, they stopped at 2, smash cut to another scene that is happening concurrently, and then 5 minutes later, go back to the campsite, and there's only one dog left sat around the table.
Mm-hmm.
You'd get the gist of it. It would work.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's what the main problem that we mentioned earlier was. It lingers too much on just one gag for a little bit too long.
Though, you know, we mentioned about the running gag of the merchant, you know, where he's spitting the tar or whatever it is and trying to spit it into the bucket. I mean, and again, there was another running gag of the film with the bird, wasn't it? Like, you know, if he whistled, the woodpecker or whatever would just come and like peck his head or whatever, you know. And they turned that into something quite clever with the traps, I thought.
I did like that, and that's something that could easily have been like, yeah, we get it, but I found they picked the moments well for when that happened, and I think it trod that line well in terms of you almost kind of forgetting that was a gag for a second. So when it came along, you're like, oh shit, yes, he whistled. Oh crap,
Yeah,
and yeah, you kind of expecting it. I never thought, yeah, we've done this now. I did like the bird gag.
you know, some of the things like with the traps as well, like we said, where they were quite creative with the traps. And I did like the spinning log thing with the spike on the end, and how they used that, and then they started using the wind that the fans was producing. Yeah,
the fans.
You know, all these men dressed in beaver suits just like flying around all over the place. You know. Yeah.
So now you're saying this stuff, and I'm like, you know what, this film's great. It's like, but then I think, no, it's still too long, way too long.
The best, most sadistic moment is when he remembers back to earlier on in the film using the icicles as a cage. And he sits up in that tree, and that eureka moment comes along, and he has one bullet left in his shotgun, and then he realizes there are wolves in that cave, and the beavers are in there too. And he fires it, and the icicles drop down, and he just sits there and smiles as you hear these wolves rip these poor beavers apart, and you don't see any of it, and it is funnier because of that. It's the sadistic smile on his face.
I did like the one when he drops the icicle bars, and that one beaver just sort of like just looks and just sort of steps around it. It's like basically like they frame the shot like, oh, you got him. It's like, no, I'm literally like there's 3 icicles in front of me, and then everything else around me is open space. I'm just gonna sidestep and walk around it. It's like, yeah. That kind of visual gag, fantastic.
They did something similar as well, didn't they? With the rabbit holes, and like he put loads of like wooden spikes around the hole, so like the rabbit would come out, and then he had nowhere to go, and he was being protected by the raccoons that were also like stealing his rabbits. But then
I'd forgotten about the raccoons.
But then the raccoon would just walked up to the wooden stake and pulled it out of the ground, and then just took the rabbit. You know. Just like, well, yeah, that makes sense, I guess.
We are forgetting actually 2 things that I didn't want to mention in the main recording because I was waiting for the spoilers. That Sherlock Holmes and Watson walking around beavers trying to solve the mystery of why all their beavers are dying was the most absurd idea ever. Because they're the only beavers wearing clothes until you get to the Beaver space program later on, and they're just going around. He's got a pipe in his mouth, and they're looking at footprints and blood splats and different like silhouettes in the snow of these dead beavers, and it's just like, what the fuck? Like
you've basically got like another film running parallel to it.
Yeah, I would love to see it from the Holmes and Watson's point of view.
Just seeing him in the distance, like doing his thing, and Yeah, I like that. I do like that. Maybe they will. Maybe they'll do that.
It took me a couple of scenes to actually work out what the fuck was going on, because I was like, wait, what? Why are they there? And all of a sudden it clicked. I was like, oh. They're investigating their own kind's deaths. Okay. Of course they are. Of course.
So I'm going to fucking take it all back now. Seriously, this film's great. I'm going to watch it again now because I've got new appreciation for that. Like, damn it. You still will trim it down a bit, but shit, stuff like that is just generally kind of brilliant. Okay.
I mean, I really quite like the ending of this film. I thought it was quite a lot of fun.
Yeah.
The way that they shot it, there's some of the camera shots and the way in which, you know, he on the conveyor belts and on the log surfing sections and, you know, like the bits where the logs get cut in half lengthways and like they stretch his legs out, and I don't know. I just thought I just thought the whole section was pretty fun, and like then you had lots of like police beavers chasing him, you know, because there's a whole society inside this like thing that they're building.
But haven't everyone always wondered what goes on in a beaver's den and a dam? You can't see it. They could have a space program and a police force and an investigative service. We don't know.
And then there was that scene at the end, you know, because halfway through this film, the master fur trapper, he disappears. We all think he's been killed and everything. And, you know, the beavers have got him. And there's a section near to the end where Jean is on a table, very James Bondery, you know, he's been taped to the table. There's a saw in between his legs. They're going to cut him up or whatever. And then the master fur trapper walks through the door and like he thinks he's been saved. You know, his old mate, the Santa Claus or whatever, thinks he's been saved. And he ends up, it's just a beaver and it's like they've just like skinned him. And
that
then
was horrifying.
Put his suit on of him. I mean, that was fucked up.
I did love the one gag I do when he goes back to the fur traders like house, and they're just like he's looking at them, they're not reacting, and it's just literally like a 2D cutout of like.
Yes, yeah.
I was like, okay.
Good.
Because I was like, what's going on? I was like, oh no, has there been some development in the storyline? And like the furrier is just staring at him like, oh no, what's he done? Like they look gutted, and I was like, "Oh, you bastards!" So I was like, "That was very good."
And then they did it straight again afterwards.
Yeah,
yeah. It's got a double gag where the matte painting falls down after it as well.
Yeah.
Scenery just goes.
Oh man! Oh shit!
Yeah, the cinema influences on the Beavers Dam was just phenomenal. Like we said, it was like the ending to Raiders of the Lost Ark in the submarine base. It was like You Only Live Twice. It was like any other megalomaniac movie that you could find was lampooned perfectly because each section of this dam, like sawmill, they had sawmill. Like.
I'm definitely going to give this a second viewing now, bollocks. Maybe it's one of these things. Maybe it's one of these films, generally, you watch it, you think, I don't know, you got the hang-ups like we've expressed, think, it's too long, blah, blah. I just wonder how much this film you might find this film more on a second viewing, in a weird way. Because now you know the concept, you know the conceit, you know how it's paced, now you can kind of appreciate more the actual timing of every gag, and you're not just kind of going with it thinking this is so weird and different. Now you know what to expect. Maybe you go in with a different view of it and a different appreciation. I don't know. So definitely going to get a rewatch of this, and I think because I'm having so much more fun talking about it than I did for the majority of watching it, or just listening to you guys. Like it's just like, oh damn, okay.
We do need to talk about that final brawl though in the is it the staff area? Or is it the detention area, isn't it, where he's handcuffed and he gets himself free from the handcuffs? That all out slapstick brawl of literally just carnage of people in beaver suits being thrown every which way into walls. And again, did you find echoes of Top Secret with this, where every trope in a fight that you could find was in that room? They kept appearing. Was it a juke? No, it was a cupboard full of crockery. a table. One beaver even walked up with a chair and smashed it over his back. And it's just like, oh my God, you've got everything. You've got all these tropes, even wrestling moves and stuff is in there. And like landing 2 people on the top of a table as well. I was like, what the fuck?
I'm sure I remember a suplex at one point. I'm positive I do. Oh, yeah, I'm positive I do.
But,
Any bar brawl trope was just, it was just kept going. I was like, this is going to keep going. It was.
Did you like how they, like how some of them, like the head would come off the body, but like you see stuffing?
Yeah.
As if it was a stuffed animal. Kind of thing.
When the furrier did her stuff, didn't she? It was just pulling out stuffing. It was like,
yeah, and the brilliant thing that made me fucking cackle was she pulled a heart out and it was a fucking Build-A-Bear heart. It was literally a cartoon heart. Passed it over to him. Like,
he's getting all like bunched cheeks, like what? And he's like just the absurdest thing ever. Like
it's like massacre at a Build-A-Bear.
I did appreciate actually that section, like where they miraculously recreated the organs of what a beaver would be inside that suit in like a fluffy, plushy kind of way, didn't they? And like she's pulling out the intestines of this beaver, and it's all just like a cuddly toy style version of its intestines and guts and stuff. I thought that was quite clever.
That was brilliant. That was good.
I really like the way in which they filmed him climbing the trees. I thought that was quite funny.
Yeah. It's. I'm interested to see how they actually did that, because it was very much kind of like he was just kind of
a printout being animated.
Yeah, he's almost like sitting on a chair, just moving his legs, and they were just like dragging and dropping him in. Like,
and I thought it was quite funny. There's a section in the film where he falls down from the tree. This is where the bird joke kind of starts in, because he's after the eggs because he's hungry. And he falls down, he falls into this prickly bush, and then like he climbs back up the tree, but it's leaving all these prickly bush bits up the tree as he's going up.
I remember now, that was good.
But then he leaves them as he's going down as well. It's like they sort of there's a lot of in this. There is a whole section where he's naked. I think this is that section where he's actually naked, and he's got all these prickly things stuck to his body. I think, that was clever. I like that.
Speaking of those mid-movie scenes, again, this is one that's stuck in my head, where he's using his tracking skills, his tracking footprints, and this is the most like weirdly disturbing horror movie trope. He's just following his footprints, and then there are little footprints next to the big footprints.
Oh yes.
And then the little footprints are running circles around the adult footprints, and then he comes across and there's a swing set.
Oh no! I hate this scene.
And the swings are still swinging. He's like, I'll keep moving, and he follows them to another set of swings, and then he realizes that he's already killed the parents.
This is horrible.
And then there's these two innocent little baby rabbits with big eyes just staring at him, and then he's like, "Oh, you're so cute," and then all of a sudden, smash cut, he's cooking them over a fire.
Yeah.
just sat there twiddling a stick, and these 2 rabbits are just going around on this spit. And like, oh my God, movie, you didn't just fucking go there.
I hated that. I'm too much a rabbit fan. I don't care for the men in suits. I
love rabbits. Don't get me wrong. I don't like the scene. I don't like the scene in Muppets Christmas Carol when Scrooge kicks the rabbit out.
I'm morbid as hell, but goddamn, like.
And that was just so unexpected. Like in a movie where you don't kill the dog, you don't kill the cat, or John Wick's gonna come and fucking mow your ass down. And they kill 2 baby rabbits and he eats them.
Yep.
But the way to get away with it is it's people in suits. Like Rich said, that is the point. But it's also like, fuck.
All right, you lovely people, we have reached the end of another episode. Thank you to you listening right now for your company. We really appreciate you and your support. If you would like to support us monetarily, then please head over to our coffee page where you can throw us a tip starting from just £1. And if it's not the right time to support us monetarily, then please consider supporting us for free by giving us a rating and review on your podcast app of choice and share on our social posts. Anything you can do to spread the word on our show would be amazing, and we would be very grateful. Also, please consider checking out our website and coming and saying hello in our Discord server. Links for all of this can be found in the show description. All that's left to do is to say goodbye.
Goodbye.
Nice beaver.
Oh, damn, I didn't think of that. Oh, thank you. I just had it stuffed. There you go. Bob.
Yes! I've been waiting an hour and 19 minutes and 49 seconds to do that gag.
I remembered. You set me up. I appreciate it.
All that left for me to say is that my name has been Jason, and you've been listening to Prepare to Fast Forward. We will see you all back in the past real soon. Until then, take care. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.